Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Now let's welcome our main speaker for tonight, Dave.
Hi, my name is David. I'm an alcoholic. It's good to be here tonight. It's good to be at my home group with my family of choice, you, Alcoholics Anonymous. Love you guys. I love what Alcoholics Anonymous has done for me. And I hope we'll have a little fun tonight. As my friend Dave said, it's only rock and roll, but I like it. And start with my day, just how it started. I like to get centered that way. I got up too early this morning because we live in Venice and parking's a nightmare, so I had to park somewhere where I had to go move the car. I played a gig late last night, so I had to get up too early to go move the car. My wife got up super early to go pick up the grandkids in Palm Springs, so I called her and I left her a message, and I found myself feeling kind of like Dee, emotional. I told my wife on the phone, I think I'm PMSing. Then that quickly changed when she called me back and told me that our daughter, who's 19, who went out to the House of Blues to hear DJ Quick. I still haven't figured that out, how House of Blues, it's rap and everything else besides blues, but anyway, that's a separate issue. House of Rap, they should call it, I think. Anyway, and don't get me wrong, I like rap music. I'm just, it's fine. I'm not listening to it all the time, but, I got Eminem CDs and stuff. I'm there. I know who Ludacris is and stuff, But, so I find out that one of the singers or rappers or whatever jumped off the stage and, knocked her over, hurt her, and she lost her glasses. And I went right into father mode, man. No, wait a minute. No, this isn't right. And she was just like, yeah, whatever. I said, no. So I went from emotional and, sentimental and feeling grateful for my life to calling House of Blues, leaving a message with the Human Resources Department. And I said something like this: hi, my name is David Brightman. My stepdaughter, Marissa Villarreal, was there last night to hear DJ Quick. She got injured. I want compensation for the glasses, or I'll be bringing a lawsuit to your club. And Susie just kind of told me that maybe it's better to just kind of be nice first and not start threatening lawsuits. Until they've actually said they're not going to help me or something like that. You know what I mean? So, there's a lot of contradictions here in Alcoholics Anonymous. I can be spiritual one moment and crazy the next, but that's okay, And it just kind of went like that. Yesterday I was driving back from the canals and some lady wouldn't get out of my way and I kind of, got all upset, and the lady was just rolled down her window and said, I'm sorry, we're lost, and I kind of gave her the, well, I just want to get around, either way, and I drove away from that one thinking, that's very spiritual, Sometimes you have to make amends to different people, though, you know what I mean? Because you don't get a chance. So this morning, I was coming back from one of my little jaunts, because my wife likes to remind me that I like to go back and forth a lot of times. I never really go in one straight line. I go back, and then I come back home, and I go back and forth. I run this errand, that errand. It's hard for me to get them all in a loop, And so I was coming back from getting my hair cut this morning with my lovely sponsee who does my hair for me. And I was looking for a parking spot. Again, Venice, it's not easy on a Sunday, 4th of July weekend to find a parking spot. And so I saw this lady walking with some clothes, and it looked like she was going to her car, so I was kind of eyeballing her and seeing if there was a spot, and she kind of pointed to the spot. So I made sure I pulled up and rolled down the window and said, "Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a great day," So that was my amends for the one yesterday, and I don't know. It's just kind of how it goes for me, I try my best today to live by spiritual principles. So I told my wife that it's going to be a short drunkalogue tonight, and I'm going to stick to it because I always do this when I pitch. I get into the drunkalogue thing, and then I just run with it, and then I might get you laughing and stuff, and then I get really immersed in it, and then it's not enough about sobriety. So for those of you that haven't heard me, is there a few at least tonight who've never heard me pitch? Okay, good. 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 That's good. It's good to know. I did used to drink, and I drank a lot. And I'm going to just fast forward through the drug part of it. I started with drugs, and I barreled through them real quick. I smoked weed. I did acid. I did all that stuff, when I was a kid in high school growing up. I'd started 1968, Jimi Hendrix, all that stuff, started smoking weed. Smoked a couple joints underneath POP Pier. Life was never the same after that, Was hooked on mini whites by the time I was 16. It was purple microdot acid. It was Grand Funk and Black Sabbath concerts at the Forum. It was all that stuff. And then after I got out of high school, I would start to smoke weed, and I got to that paranoid stage, because now I was out on my own. I was living in my own apartment. I'd smoke weed, and I'd think, "Oh my God, I've got to buy my own toilet paper. Where's my mom?" It was awful. It was really awful. Because I'd spend all my high school years and junior high years, sitting in a room playing guitar, smoking weed, trying to learn every song on KMET. So, I didn't have many life skills by the time I got out there trying to live on my own. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to balance a checkbook or, get a job other than being a busboy at Fiasco Restaurant. That's what I got. And the weed wasn't working for me, so I started playing guitar, and I started going down to the beach, and they were drinking, and boom, it was that simple. They handed me the brown bag. I drank it. I loved it. I loved it right away. I found the magic elixir that worked for me, and I made one of the smoothest transitions from a drug addict to an alcoholic that one can make, because I just dropped all that other crap, you know what I mean? I just dropped it like a hot rock, and I was drinking, and I loved it. And, I want to say happy birthday to Bronwyn and Lisa, both women that I know that I've seen, come in this program, and it's just wonderful. And, when Bronwyn says all that lovely stuff about us, it just reminds me of what my sponsor says, is that he always used to tell me when he was first working with me, he'd say, "Don't forget that you're doing more for me than I could ever do for you." And that's really the way I feel about it, and I appreciate the things, and I take it in, and I hear it, and I'm not negating it at all, but it's the joy is mine, you know what I mean, and seeing the process and seeing it happen, with both of you, But we've seen Bronwyn like every Sunday at the book study, and it's just such a wonderful process. And I needed to rest up. I didn't come, but I can't wait to see you like stand up when we do the countdown. And now you're in the next phase. You know what I mean? Like you're, and that's so great. That's so great to see. Somebody get it. I'll never forget my first year. Getting that cake. It was fantastic. So anyway. So I started drinking, and it was just great. And it was great. And the thing is Lisa reminded me of something, too, when she was sharing, when she said she was new and shaking and vibrating, just feeling so horrible. One of the things I thought of right when she was sharing this, I remember, I'm really grateful that I don't smell poison coming out of my body anymore. Yeah. I don't smell alcohol poison coming out of me anymore. When I was new, I could still smell that for about the first 3 months of my sobriety. I'd sweat. I could feel the sweat on my brow, and I could smell it. I could smell the booze literally coming out of me. As I detoxed. I'm really grateful that I don't, have to feel that way today, and haven't it's been quite a while. So I did okay just drinking beer, partying with my friends for a while, It was really great. Everybody seemed to drink hard liquor, and I just drank beer, and I figured something in me knew that if you went and drank hard alcohol, that it would be a lot of problems. So I figured if you just drank beer, it'd be okay. And One night I switched because I ran out of beer, and I did like the book said. It said, if you're not sure you're an alcoholic, try to have a few drinks and then stop abruptly. Try it more than once. I drank 6 beers. I was getting a little buzz on. I told these guys, hey, I need a liquor store. I was in Hollywood. I was out of my, because most of the time I never got east of Lincoln Boulevard. But, once in a while I ventured out, and so I'm a Venice boy, But once in a while we'd go to the Whiskey or something like that, and I'd go down here, a band or something. And I'm at this party one night with my buddy Johnny Legend, and I told the guy, hey, I need some beers. And he said, well, I don't have any beer. There's no liquor store available right now. There's nothing's open. And I was kind of like, what? And I started to get that panicky feeling. He said, I got something for you. And he pulled out and went in the kitchen. He got this big bottle of vodka, and he poured it in with diet root beer and ice. And it crackled over the ice. I'll never forget it, I took that drink, and boom! It just, it was fantastic. It was so, it was wonderful. It was absolutely, man, it was fantastic. I don't mean the way it tasted, what it did for me. I never drank for the taste, and I never understood this thing. People get sober, and, they go out and drink near beer. Why bother? I never, I heard this one speaker say one night, she said, I never went out and shot any near heroin, and, I mean, why bother, man? I drank for the effect. I want to get drunk. I want what it does for me, And, oh, God, I just wasn't okay in my own skin. I was nervous. I was shy. I was afraid to talk to a girl. I was, just all this stuff. But when I put that booze in me, I was larger than life. I was Slavin David, man. I was it, man. I was the it guy. I was the man. I was as hip as you can get. You know what I mean? I fit tight in my Jordache jeans. I was 21 years old. I acquired a girlfriend. I got in a band called the Venice Canaligators, and I was a swinger. You know what I mean? I was like, man, One day I was walking down the street with my friend Mad John, another guitar player, and I looked at him, and he goes, hey, Slavin, ain't it great to just walk around with it? Oh, yeah, it is, man, because we had it all. The world was our oyster, you know what I mean? Just young, and you got it all going on, but it changes quickly. I like to share that, you ever go to a meeting and you hear a speaker and they say, I drank for 40 years and it was just horrible and awful, and I was just out there. And man, didn't it work for at least a while? You know what I mean? Because for me, I had that one good year, and that was 1977. I was 21 years old, and I had it all going on. Now, a couple years after that, it hadn't really gotten my looks yet, and I thought I'd bring the picture tonight. This is about how I looked around circa 1980. I was striking a pose before Madonna heard about it. And my attitude was, I'm Slavin Dave and you're not, and what can you do for me, baby, You know that thing that people share also, about like we're alcoholics who normally would not mix, like I wouldn't have drank with. You know what? I would have drank with any of you if you were buying me a drink. I would have drank with any of you because you were going to buy me one, you know what I mean? I was a little hustler, I'd come in the bar and I'd be like, hey, Slavin Dave. I'd be like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, buy me a drink, babe. All right, right on, It'd be like, I rode on my reputation. It was great to be a local celebrity because everywhere you went, you sort of got that star treatment. It was like, I remember they said, I played at this bar, Blackie's, down on Main Street. It was kind of like a punk rock bar, but they had let rock and roll bands like us play in there once in a while, and we'd go in there. And the thing was that when on gig night, you could drink any mixed drinks for $1. And so what I sort of parlayed that into mean that any night I went down there, I could drink for $1. You know what I mean? And I just sort of parlayed that. Well, I'm Slavin Dave, man. Well, you're not playing tonight. Well, hey, man, But, don't you know who I am? I mean, come on now. And so it was nice to go out for your night with $1 to start. You can buy that first one, and then everyone's going to, join you. Anyway, my wife's looking at the clock. She's keeping me to my word. Yeah, got to get out of it. Okay, so I'm going to tell you one story, and we're going to call it a day. Let me just tell you the real important things. My girlfriend left and joined the Hare Krishnas. I lost my job as an assistant drug dealer. And I basically drank my way out of the music business. That all happened within about a 6-month span. So it was starting to turn on me. And I have a song that's track 1 of my CD that's finally finished. It just has to be slapped a label on and put out. It's called Flim Flam. And around that time, I was really getting flim flam. Because the thing is that all that stuff that was totally going my way, it started turning on me. It started turning on me. And, you know, as karma goes, you know what I mean? The way you treat the world has a tendency to treat you. And what was happening is that, you know, like I say in the song, you know, I went down to Blackie's. I thought I had a date. I didn't find her. The crowd was great. But, you know, it'd be like, the girl that was supposed to be out with me would be like with some, 6'2" surfer guy. And I was like, well, wait a minute. What happened? I'm the guitar player, you know. And it just, my life totally was going that way. Like completely, everything was turning around on me. They gave me I had a chance to do music. I chose, instead of not drinking and doing what they said, I drank. Like vodka was more important than a music career. Vodka was more important than anything. It had taken over my life at age 24. I even went to an AA meeting, but I felt sorry for the people. You know, I felt sorry for the people there. Mind you, my life, I had all my stuff in a white hefty bag. I was living on people's couches, and I felt sorry for the people in AA because they were old and they probably needed AA. I was 24. I still had my looks, and I could still drink, and, you know, hey, what the hell. Didn't matter. I didn't have any place to live or anything like that, but, you know, I was okay. And what I kept doing is I kept sort of like coming back, you know what I mean? Like I'd come back, like I'd be just on the verge of maybe being homeless, and then I'd sort of get it together for a while. I'd get a little job, you know, or I'd stay at some girl's house out in Highland Park for a while, you know what I mean? I would just do, you know, I would sort of pull it together. So one day I was playing on the beach, and my buddy Mike P., who I was sponsoring him for a while, and he finally called me, and he's alive and he's sober again, and it's great. And he was my buddy. We used to work as waiters together, and one day he brought me some Stolichnaya down to the beach, and I was a street musician for many years, of course, on Venice Beach, and I was down there playing on the beach, and one day he bought me this bottle of Stoli, and I was down there, and as the day wore on, I would get to the point where I would sing Gloria, and of course I thought I wrote it and stuff. I thought it was my song, you know. And as I got drunker and drunker, and the day I got looser and looser, sometimes my clothes would start to come off a little bit, you know. And I was just getting, you know, that feeling of when you're just the right amount drunk. You're just so loose, like everything's like jelly, you know what I mean? You're just kind of like, oh, it's like, it's sort of like Quaaludes, but it's like, it's booze, you know what I mean? And you're just kind of like, I don't know if you know Quaaludes. Maybe it's before your time, but, you know. Anyway, they were a really good muscle relaxer that we used to use as aphrodisiacs back in the 70s. Anyway, and so anyway, I'm loosey-goosey, you know, and everything's great, and I'm drinking beers all day long, and I got the Stoli, and it comes time for Gloria, and I usually hand my guitar to somebody because I got all my musician friends. Now we got about 8 guys playing drums, and, you know, bass players and harmonica, sax players. Everybody's around. It's the end of the day. Everybody's partying, and I'm singing Gloria, and I got my Stoli, and I'm just having a great time, you know, Gloria, and I take a big hit of the Stoli, and I'm like, and there was, you know, good 100 or so people, you know, there when I did that, and about half of them got grossed out and left, and the other half stayed, and, you know, me being a trooper, I just kind of, you know, wiped out my mouth and keep it going, you know, the show's got to go on, baby, you know. All right. What's the second verse? You know. You know, and just having a good time, you know, just in the moment, you know, and the reason I know that some of the people stayed that were there is that when I told that story, when I took my year cake at Monday Night Venice at Second Hill, a girl walked up to me and said, I remember that day. I saw you that day. And, you know, so the real drinkers, you know, we hung with the program as long as we could. And, you know, being a real alcoholic, I gave it my best shot. You know what I mean? I hung out there as long as I could till my physical health started to get compromised, and I'd begun to cough up blood, and I was almost 32 years old and basically dying of alcoholism. So I couldn't last as long as Deke could. You know, I couldn't make it till 44. I would have been dead long before that. And, you know, we all get here when we get here. Bronwyn got here at 20. You know, isn't that great? Isn't that great? Wow. You know, It's all relative. Doesn't matter. 60. You know, I saw a guy get sober at 75. We traded cakes one day. You never know. Some people start later or whatever. You know, I lasted hard drinking from the time I was about 20 till I was almost 32. That was all I could do. I gave it my best shot, guys. I really did. I gotta let you know I tried. And so on February 7th of '88, I called my mom in Northern California, and I made a fateful phone call that lasted 56 minutes. I still have the phone bill somewhere in our stuff. Whatever I talked to her about, I know. And the gist of it is what I always share is that I said something to her to the effect of that, Mom, I'm a hopeless drunk, and I'm probably going to die. And I'm very sorry to have let you down. But that's the best I can do, and that's, you know, just want to tell you sorry. She said, David, you haven't let me down, and although it breaks my heart, if that's the road you choose to take, I have to set you free to go do that. She'd been to a program called Al-Anon. And I hung up the phone. A little voice said, maybe you could try not drinking, and, you know, that was that. I went out and I got as drunk as I could that day. I was toasting everybody, hey, it's my last day drinking, and it was. I ended up begging a lower companion to please come home with me. It was my last, because it's my last night drinking. I was at the Venice Saloon, Lincoln and Palms. There's a Staples there now. That was my last drink. It's a lovely establishment. If you ever drank there, you know what I'm talking about. And the next day I got up, and I wanted to have a wine cooler. And I remembered that I had promised that I wasn't going to drink that day. There was nothing about AA or any kind of spiritual awakenings or anything like that. It was just a decision that I had made. And I think this is where the higher power that I don't quite even realize exists yet steps in. Because when I have that thought, let's have a wine cooler today and we'll start this sober thing tomorrow, something happened. Another voice said, if you take it today, that's it. There is no tomorrow. And I stopped in my tracks. And I think some part of me surrendered right there in my little apartment in Venice, on the alley at 52 Paloma, where we live now. Something stopped me in my tracks, and I didn't take a drink that day. And that day is February 8th, 1988, and that's my sobriety date. How does that happen? Why do some people get it right away and other people have to go drink and die? I have no idea. If Dirty Jack can't tell you why, I certainly can't either, you know? Because I remember one time when I was a couple years sober, a girl died of alcoholism. Her mom was sober forever in the program. And we all went to this little memorial for her. And I'll never forget, Jack got up there and he said, I don't know why some young lady who's been exposed to AA her whole life doesn't get the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I remember that affecting me because, you know, he probably had, I don't know, 33 years at the time. He's got 40, I'm 49, 48. I always know because he got sober in 57, I was born in 56, so it's easy to figure out Jack's sobriety. You know what I mean? He's 1 year less sober than I am alive. So it's pretty impressive. But I remember him standing there powerless, saying he didn't know, you know. So anyway, so I didn't take a drink that day, and I did it dry for almost 30 days, and finally I got to you with 27 days dry. Through a series of circumstances, that guy who had brought me to a meeting in 1980 brought me to another meeting in 88, and we went to Saturday night, Venice High. It was called Saturday Night Live, and my first sponsor, Joey, was the speaker that night. He was the main speaker. A lady named Debbie S. was the first speaker. She's still sober. And I'll never forget this. We walked in. I had my leather cap cocked to the side. I was 27 days dry. I was vibrating. I was so crazy. I was literally vibrating. I was shaking like this. Like I said, the poison was still coming out, and I was like this, and I was just like, the way I've been doing my dry time up to that time was walking around going, I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to drink, I won't drink, I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to drink. I was playing my guitar on the boardwalk. I had club sodas all over by my guitar case. Where I used to have beers, you know, I'd say, people said, hey, buy me a drink. I go, club soda. Give me one of those, waters, whatever, Hanson's, whatever, soda, Coke, whatever. So I had all these, and I was just going, people would say, hey, Dave, you're not drinking. I go, yeah. They go, you going to any meetings? No, I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm good. I'm all right. I'm going, They go, hey, there's a meeting, Friday night, 5 and 10. No, I'm fine. I'm good. It's great, But I knew how many days I was sober. I was counting days. It's weird. I wasn't going to AA, but I was counting days. I got 17 days. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm good, So I remember one guy, my friend said, hey, there's this meeting Thursday night. There's a CA meeting on this boat over in the Marina. I said, oh, no, Thursday night I got to watch Bill Cosby and Hill Street Blues, man. I'm very busy. Very busy. I got it. I'm okay. I'm good, And so anyway, I get to this meeting, and this is I described to you the package that comes in the meeting. And this man named Howard, not our Howard P. He's in my story too, but another man. I think he passed away from HIV a few years back. But he was a very nice man. He was secretary of Second and Hill at that point in time, and he was at that meeting. And he was the first person I met when I came in. Joey brought me in, and he said, "Howard, this is David. He's new." And I can remember his smile. I can remember the way he looked. I can remember the red beard. He had sort of like a nice sweater on. He looked sort of like an author or something, And he said, hi, stick with us, stick with the winners. I'll never forget that. And he was right. And I listened. I took a simple direction. What choice did I have? Where was I going to go? You know what I mean? And luckily for me, I came here with, like Lisa said, the gift of desperation. I came here, I was so beat up, I had no other answers. I didn't come here to try to meet her or just try to get the heat off my back for a while or get the wife off my back. I had one-night stands with sleazy people. That was my love life. That was it. So relationship was completely out of the question. And when I came here, I think there was part of me, this little thing thought, oh yeah, they'll be not drinking, there'll be plenty of girls, there'll be parties, it'll be this great thing, I'll probably hook up and it'll be great, And then I got here and it was completely the opposite. I was so terrified. I was the kind of newcomer that I would go into a meeting, I would see a girl and I would think that was kind of cute or something, and my face would start twitching. I'd be like, I'd have these little dialogues in my mind, like, I wonder if I should talk to her. Maybe I should say something. Oh, what would I say? And oh, there she went. Oh, boy. I'd go to meetings. I'd get these little crushes across the room. Oh, wow, she's hot. Oh, God, it's great. Go home and think about it, never do anything about it, And one time I was 9 months sober. I actually think I kind of had a date with this girl or something. I don't really... And we went to a AA dance, and I ditched her there. You know why? I was terrified. How could I do it? What would I say? I was so uncomfortable in my own skin. There was no way in the world. So, it's kind of funny to look back. I was begging that lower companion to please come home with me on my last night drinking. I might have had a premonition that it was going to be a while. 2 years and 2 months, to be exact. But that's okay, because I needed to get better. It wasn't about that, and I'm glad it wasn't. Some people get together and hook up in the first year and they stay married, or sometimes they go, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It's all our own story. So, the first year. I want to talk about segments of my sobriety tonight, and hopefully I'll mention the steps as well, because of course they're important, and of course I've worked them. I've worked all 12. My 11th step is shabby. It's not too good. I'm not a meditator. I do believe in prayer, and I totally have a higher power in my life. I just haven't been great on the slowing down thing. I just get up and it's coffee and ESPN and let's get rolling, That's just me. Maybe it'll change. Maybe something can improve in my program, but we're not saints here. We do the best we can. So that first year was just about taking commitments, learning not to drink. I did a long questionnaire form inventory. I tried to make amends. I tried to help other alcoholics. I don't think I was too successful with one sponsee called Paul Beethoven. He lives by where I park my car. As I went to work the other day, he screamed at me and said that I was a crappy sponsor to him. God bless Paul, man, I wasn't very spiritual with him either. I said the F word to him. Anyway, we are not saints. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. So I tried to help people, and I tried to 12-step people and everything, and then I got a year. I got to tell you one important thing that happened to me in that year. I really skipped over steps 3, 7, and 11. Had a hard time with the God thing. I was a kid from Venice. I was a hippie kid. My mom used to go to the Renaissance Fair and make her own clothes, and there just was no talk of God. My father was Jewish. Him and my mom split up when I was 4 years old. I didn't see much of him. He died in 1977 due to drug addiction. My stepfather was an alcoholic and a sailor and a seaman, and he taught me a lot of good stuff. He bought me my first electric guitar, and I'm very grateful to him for that stuff, but he wasn't real present for me as a father figure. So I made up my own idea of what a man should be. My idea of what a man should be would be like Keith Richards, Jimi Hendrix with a little Clint Eastwood thrown in. That's what I modeled myself after. Oh, well. So, no wonder I had a few issues when I got here. So, anyway, when I was 10 and a half months sober, I had skipped over that God thing, and I was working as a parking attendant. That was a good job for me. I was working down in Venice as a parking attendant with my buddy Kevin R. You know Kevin, he's your secretary on Thursday night. And he was working down there with me, and one day Kevin says to me, we're running around parking the cars on a Sunday, and I'm crazy as a loon, you know, and he says to me, he goes, you know, David, you're kind of, man, you're really uptight today, man. What's going on? I go, well, you know, I might be uptight, but I'm not uptight all the time. Like, I have some pretty good days. He goes, no, you're uptight a lot of the time. And I think you need to pray. And I started to get up that, like, how dare you? My bluster started to come all up, and I got up to about here. And I kind of stopped, you know, like, whoa, maybe he's right, you know. And so I went up, and I'd been to enough of these morning meetings here at the Marina Center where I kind of knew part of the third step prayer or something. Like I said, I didn't have it a normal, regular prayer in my program or anything like that, but I'd heard it at meetings. You can parrot stuff, you know, and so I went up and I said something about difficulties. I knew it was something about take away my difficulties. God, please help, something like that. Take away my difficulties. And I hit my knees, and it was the first part of that second surrender for me to realize that now I was sober and I could not run my life on my own power anymore. I had to believe in some kind of power greater than myself that could solve my problem. That's what our big book says. It says this book is the only purpose is for you to enable you to find a power greater than yourself by which you could live. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. For me, it was the ocean. For me, it was I'd like to choose to turn my will and my life over to the care of Charlton Heston as I understand him. And, you know, I'd go to meetings and say all this weird, crazy stuff, and people would just go, okay, Dave, keep coming back, man. All right, yeah, it's good, you know. So it was all good, you know, and so after I was a year sober, I took all these cakes, and then I didn't have the God thing. You know, I had sort of been reaching out for it, but I didn't quite have it. And I got with a sponsor called Israel. He got me in the book, and in my second year, a lot of growth started to happen. I ended up eventually doing an inventory out of the big book. I got into step 9. I went back and I made amends to my ex-girlfriend and the Hare Krishnas. That was a huge freeing thing for me because I hated the Krishnas. I felt they had taken something that was mine. After I did the inventory, I also realized that I didn't care what happened to her. I cared about me. What about me? You have left me. What about me? You know? We're selfish and self-centered to the core, alcoholics. You know, it's all about me. What about me? How about me? How about me? How about me? How about me? Oh, maybe a little bit about you, but what about me? You know? And what AA has taught me is to turn that around and think about you. How are you doing today? What's going on in your program? How long are you sober? What's happening for you? And that's why it's lovely to get to see these people and get out of myself. It's not about me anymore. I mean, sometimes it is. My wife says it's about me all the time, but I don't know. Who gets you all that coffee in the morning? I've learned to share. I've learned to give of myself. Thank you. So when I was so then after that, I worked with Israel, and I was able to take off my hat, and all these miracles happened because I wore a hat the first year and a half of my sobriety, and I was able to write enough inventories. I did 1,010 steps on fear. I fear you won't like me. I fear women. All this stuff, And then I started, trying to like go somewhere with women, and I had really great lines. My wife laughs at me. I'd say stuff like, "Hi, like I'm attracted to you." I was, oh my God. How cornball can you get? No wonder I couldn't get a girlfriend, But at least I was stepping through my fear. I was trying, I was trying to make a stab there, And after I was a couple years sober, and this one girl that was an old friend of mine, came and gave me a gift, and it sort of woke me up. And so then I thought, okay, I'm ready for a girlfriend now. I've got 2 years sober, and so I looked across the room, and I saw this girl that I thought the rocks in my head would fit the holes in hers. And I immediately fell into lust. And one night we were making out behind 26th and Broadway, and I was sure that we were going to be the new AA couple. I was going to give her cake. She was going to give me cake. Everyone was going to see us. It was going to be fabulous. I started talking to her about, AIDS tests and all this stuff. It's the early 90s. I mean, I scared the crap out of this poor girl, When we make out one night, and I'm thinking, let's sign a paper. How's your health? Jesus, Man, talk about obsessive. No wonder she'd turn around and run, Jesus, man. If I were her, I would have ran as fast as I could the other way, And the thing is since I don't really have a good self-esteem, but I'm, got a big ego with low self-esteem, I'm giving you this push-pull thing. Hey, I'd really like to be with you, but no, whoa, come here, no, don't, I wouldn't want to be a member of any club that would have me, but please come and fix me, it's a very, very confusing message to the ladies, And anyway, so I called her up this one day. We were supposed to have a date, and she said, this thing that you think or whatever it is, it's really not going on, and it's probably better that you don't call me anymore. And, after this one night, this one kiss, I figured we were in a huge relationship, so I got very devastated that she broke up with me, and I thought about vodka, And that was the first time when I really found my higher power, because this was the days of answer phones. Remember the old phone made, "Hello, you have reached the message phone. Please leave a message after the beep tone." I got a lot of beep tones, couldn't get a hold of a human being, and it was, at certain times, the alcoholic will have no effective mental defense against the first drink. His defense must come from a higher power. And I went out to the beach and I prayed, and I asked God to help me. And that was when I think, really took the third step unconditionally for the first time. And so then, after that, I was about in my fifth year, getting on to 4 years, and I really, really was starting to get dry again. I was starting to get angry. I wanted my music career. I wanted her. I wanted everything, and nothing was going my way. Nothing was going my way. I remember sitting at coffee. I was about 4.5 years sober, and I told my friend Linda Beth, I said, one time I wish it could just go my way. Just one time. It never was going my way. And I went into a little, I finally, I went and saw this therapist that was in AA, and she just ripped me a new one. She was so mean to me. It was absolutely horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I mean, it was really, really horrible. And I remember I was driving home, and I was 4.5 years sober, and I was driving home through the burnt-out remnants of our city at that point in time. And that's what I thought my life was like. I thought, you know what, that lady's right. I am a loser. I am just a little wannabe guitar player. Nothing's ever going to happen for me. I went home, and I had a lovely roommate at the time. I had this girl named Rebecca C. Bowler. And she was my friend. She's a beautiful lady. And every time I'd go to meetings, we'd go together, and they'd go, "Oh, wow, she's hot, isn't she? Aren't you?" And I was like, no. She was a friend. And I think she truly helped me with my issue with women, because she was somebody that I could just hang out with. And I remember I came back home and I said, "Rebecca, this lady has told me that I'm a loser, and I think she's right." And she said, "Oh, Dave Big, you're not a loser." She said, "Come on, let's read this Dr. Seuss book." And we sat on her bed and read The Cat in the Hat, or some one of those books. I don't see her too much anymore, but she was so helpful to me. One time when I was about 5 or 6 years sober, she said, "Dave Big, you're a very solitary man. I noticed you went out to the store and you bought one bowl. That's where I was coming from. Because nobody was going to come and have soup with me. If you think you want a relationship, but you go and buy one bowl, you're sadly mistaken. There was no room for anybody else at the table. I had resigned to the fact that I was solitary. I'd tell you that I wanted a relationship and I wanted to have somebody in my life, but no, there was just me and the cats and one bowl. And I'm running out of time again. There were so many other things that I wanted to touch on tonight, but I went into therapy, and I learned some very interesting things about the way my head works, about the self-talk that I do to myself. Now, I never replaced AA with therapy. Don't get the wrong idea. I've always come to Alcoholics Anonymous from the time I got here. I needed a little extra help just to work through what it is that I had to get through. And this one little Jewish woman helped me to get through it. And one time I walked out after a session, and there was a ticket on my car. This would send me into a frenzy. How could they have a ticket and what? Again, like the don't tell me to pray and getting all puffed up and everything, this anger and the entitlement and I went and I looked at the ticket and I went, I didn't put enough money in the meter. I have a ticket. I got to pay it. I started to learn, life's not out to get me. I felt like women were put on this earth to torture me. My inventories were about, I resent this girl and she, has something I want and she's not giving it to me. I'd have these tortured nights where I'd write all these inventories and then I'd wait like at 3 o'clock in the morning because my sponsor lived above me, Israel, and I'd wait for him and he'd get up to ride his bike and I'd pounce, Israel, I got an inventory, you got to read it, and we'd ride around on bikes at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Then I got a female sponsor. I'm going to end up with this. I got a woman sponsor when I was 7.5 years sober. I hit some other kind of bottom in sobriety. And I started talking with Susan P. And she helped me immensely. And what it was with Susan was I'd done a lot of step work. I'd done these inventories. I'd done all this stuff. And with Susan, it was just coffee talk. We sat across at coffee. And I told her how I felt about women and about stuff. And it helped, because I got to be honest, I wasn't getting it from men at that point in time. They were a little too hard for me. It was be like, well, why don't you just go get laid? What the hell's the matter with you? And I'm a little more sensitive than that. I was like, no, you're not getting what I'm saying here. You're not understanding where I'm coming from. Susan did, though. And she helped me open up. And she got me to the point where there was another place setting at the table. And then I met Vicki here at the Marina Center one night when I was coming up on 11 years of sobriety. And it was a lovely thing. And what I like to share is that after I got in the relationship for a while, I needed to talk to a man. So I didn't know how to do it, man. Every time we had one little argument, man, I thought that was it. We're breaking up. It's over. It's done. That's it. See ya. She's like, I'll hunt you down and grab you. You ain't going nowhere, Big Daddy. We're together for the duration. So there were so many other things that I wanted to share with you, and I want to share one thing, and then I'm going to read something, and then we're going to go home, because I don't want to talk over the time. There's no souls saved after the allotted hour, And that's what I was told, at least. And, some of you know I've been working on this project for about 4.5 years of this CD, Slavin Dave, It's About Friggin' Time, because it's about friggin' time I finally did something. And the other night I went and I put the finishing touches on what's called mastering, and 11 o'clock this past Monday night, I jumped in my car and was driving back from Thousand Oaks, and I stuck my CD in the player in my little Mitsubishi car. And it was one of the happiest moments in my life. I got right to the end. It's not about the outside stuff, but it's because of AA that I can do that. And last night we played a gig, and we had about 20 people show up, and they were all from AA, my lovely friends in AA that show up to support, and it was just fabulous. Dee said something about if you get sober and you have a gift that you gotta use it. This gift that we use for sobriety. If you have a dream that you want to do something, whatever it is, I highly urge you to go do it. Pursue it. I do not want to wait tables anymore. I'm pursuing my dream with the help of my lovely wife that supports me in it. She doesn't say, no, you better just keep being a waiter. That would be rough if I heard that. She said, do what you have to do. Don't wait till the last minute. Take the. And so I'm doing it. So the other day I was all pissed off because it was Father's Day and my daughter hadn't said anything. And I figured, well, she's over with her real dad and I'm with her every day and I, do all this stuff for her and blah, 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 blah. What about me? And then about 10 o'clock or so at night, the phone rang and she said, I just wanted to call you and wish you happy Father's Day and I have a gift for you and I'll be bringing it to you tomorrow. She came with this big book of all Stevie Ray Vaughan notations that I can learn and read and learn all this stuff that Stevie Ray Vaughan did. She's also such a hip young girl that even though she goes to rap concerts, her outgoing message on her cell phone is Jimi Hendrix, Castles Made of Sand. So this is a girl that knows what's going on. Any girl that realizes the bitchinest guitar player ever to walk the face of the earth is okay in my book. So, I'm going to end you up with this. Happy Father's Day. Dear Dad, I wanted to start by thanking you for treating my family and I like your own from the very beginning. I am so grateful for you to have always been there for me, supporting me with my decisions and being involved in my life. Over the 3 years I've lived here, our father and daughter bond has grown, and I only wish for this bond to continue to grow. You're a role model to me, showing me how a man is supposed to treat a woman. You're a loving, compassionate, and understanding, music-loving dad who I know will always be there for me. I am grateful to be your daughter, and I will always be here for you with anything I can help with. I appreciate you, and thank you again. I love you, your daughter, Marissa Goldenchild. I don't think it gets any better than that. Thanks.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think. Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.